Hello everyone, in today's video I've got some really fantastic Microsoft Flight Sim news to share with you all, so without further delay, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with a bit of good or bad news depending on how you look at it. JustFlight have updated us on their 747 Classic and Airbus A330 B4-200 for P3D. It's not coming to P3D anymore, it's coming to Microsoft Flight Sim. Now, I don't reckon many of you are actually on P3D, but if you are, this may disappoint you slightly, but JustFlight have said on their website, development is now focusing on moving their efforts over to Microsoft Flight Sim almost completely by the looks of it. The 747 Classic, or the Classic 747 I should say, incorporates the 100, 200 and 200F, I do believe, and the Airbus A330 B4-200 wasn't the first Airbus A300 made, it wasn't the first variant, but I do believe it was the most popular, with 136 B4-200 variants being made. And it's nice to see they're both coming over to Microsoft Flight Sim, although if you're on P3D you will be disappointed by that news. They'll both be payware, and hopefully, if all goes to plan, following on from what JustFlight have said in the past, with Xbox compatibility, they'll be coming over to PC and eventually Xbox. It sure will be nice to see them, as I said, both on PC and hopefully Xbox in the future. There was a bit of controversy about it on the FS Elite website I did see in the comments, just about in terms of JustFlight saying they were working on this for 2 years. Some people are, I guess, rightfully annoyed because they have been expecting this aircraft for 2 years, but at the end of the day, it does make good business sense. It is what it is, and it's coming over to Microsoft Flight Sim, which is very exciting, and let's be honest, if you're on P3D, as good as a simulator as that is, Microsoft Flight Sim is the most popular one, so it makes complete sense for them to focus their efforts there. Now moving over to another payware airliner, Aerosoft and their Airbus A330. They've released a 5-minute video on the Aerosoft forums, taking a look at the electronic flight bag in their upcoming Airbus A330 for Microsoft Flight Sim. Now, I've used the CRJ and some of the parts of this EFB are quite similar, but in other areas it really is fantastic and of course a bit different to the CRJ. Something that stands out to me is the fact that you can actually pre-plan pushback in the tablet and then Microsoft Flight Sim will follow through with it, much like toolbar pushback. But this is actually integrated into the aircraft. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that before, unless I'm wrong. And then feel free to correct me in the comments. It's definitely one of the better EFBs I've seen for Microsoft Flight Sim in terms of payware aircraft, probably the best. Just by looking how much stuff we've got, from the stuff you'd expect like Navigraph and SimBrief integration to the ability to change your EFB's wallpaper, which I don't think I've seen before. It looks very cool, and you can check out the 5-minute video by Mr. Cock over on the Aerosoft forums. It's certainly shaking up to be a very, very exciting airliner for Microsoft Flight Sim. It will be payware and first will be released on PC before provisions are made to hopefully move it over to Xbox as well. Now, what have I told you? You could get a study level balloon, a hot air balloon for Microsoft Flight Sim. Well, it's being worked on, and my goodness, it looks like a lot of fun. Now, this is a bit of payware by Hype Performance Group. You might be asking yourself, why would I pay money for a hot air balloon? Well, my friends, this is no ordinary hot air balloon. In many ways, I guess you could consider this a study level hot air balloon. Now, I'm not a fan of that term, study level, but let's just say this looks highly realistic, from realistic inflation and deflation models to a true-to-life flight model. Now, don't get me wrong, I've never flown a hot air balloon, funnily enough, so I have no clue how they actually feel when they fly. I could hazard a guess, but it'll probably be incorrect. It also includes some really cool features like the ability to spawn AI hot air balloons around you to crowd your skies with different and unique hot air balloons to make really, really beautiful scenery. It will be payware, as I said. I believe it's going for $15 US, which is what, about 13.5 UK pounds after the crash of the pound. So, I mean, it's not too much money, and for something as unique as a hot air balloon, I definitely will be taking a look at it when it's released tomorrow. Stuff like this makes flight simulation fun. I know it was very popular on VATSIM, on Flight Simulator X, of course. Moving over to a bit of news from the lovely Orbx team, they're working on another aircraft. Orbx don't normally make aircraft, But when they do, to be fair, they're pretty interesting as planes. This is no exception, the Pacific Aerospace 750 X STUL. X short takeoff and landing. An interesting aircraft that quite frankly I've never heard of. But it looks pretty cool. Sort of reminds me of a Cessna Caravan mixed with a PC-12. There's a load of circuit breakers in the cockpit, and to be fair, they seem to have done a pretty good job with it so far. It's probably an aircraft for me, but if you're interested in aircraft like this, it should be available in just a few days, and pricing will be $25 US plus local tax, and it will be available on Orbx Direct. Leave your thoughts on it down below. Let's move over to our final bit of news. Now this is a bit different, I don't normally talk about these on my channel all too often, but Next Level Racing have partnered up with Boeing to make a new flight simulator setup. I'm sharing it with you on the screen now. It looks really cool, but it is very expensive. This is basically a flight sim rig that allows you to mount your controls, comes with a nice seat as well, that's of course styled off a Boeing cockpit chair with that sheepskin effect. It looks awesome, it looks sturdy, it looks hard as a rock. It does look really epic, to be fair. You certainly do pay for it. I believe it goes for around 700 UK pounds. But hopefully you get what you pay for. It even includes a little seatbelt to really make you feel like you're sat in the cockpit. I mean, it is very expensive and it's probably out of my budget by quite some way. But I mean, it does look fantastic. And if you're lucky enough to have those Thrustmaster TRP pedals or whatever they're called, mounted up with a proper Warthog HOTAS setup, which costs like 500 quid on its own, you could have a really realistic combat flight simulator as well. Looks really cool, I thought I'd update you with it. Hasn't been released just yet, but I believe orders are being shipped over the next few days, so keep an eye out for it. If you are interested, leave your thoughts down below. There we have it, guys. Plenty of unique Microsoft Flight Sim news in today's video, from the Aerosoft A330 to a hot air balloon to a bit of hardware that's expensive but certainly looks worth the price if you're that into the hobby. From me today, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out my Amazon affiliate links down below for all the stuff I use to both fly, film and edit my videos. Regarding my channel, quickly a little update on my channel I guess. Over the next few months I'll be focusing a bit more on my real life flight training, so hopefully I'll be able to get some content out there. On top of that, keeping up with all the Microsoft Flight Sim and X-Plane 12 at times news. So hopefully the channel should go on to do bigger and better things. Thank you so much for your endless support. And if you want to hear a bit about my job in aviation that's paying for my flight training, my job in an FBO, click on my website link down below. I'll see you around, guys. Bye bye.